Ladies and gentlemen, this is an article that came out in the Kokomo Tribune, and it is something that is really important. And I'm glad this particular article is coming up because, boy, I have so much to say about this. You know, Donald Trump said he wanted to put drug addicts to death. But what he doesn't realize, and many of my subscribers brought this out, and it's the truth, there is no bigger drug addict in America than doctors. You know, here's the difference. Your drug dealer on the street just does not have the license and education that your legalized drug dealer, aka doctor, has. Okay? It is not your drug dealer on the street that's causing the biggest harm to the public. It is your medical doctor with all of his degrees and license. He has done the biggest harm to the general public in America. And you'll see as we get into this article exactly what I mean. You know, if he's not going to do anything about these doctors, then going after these drug dealers on the street is going to be counterproductive. These doctors are still overprescribing opioids in the country, ladies and gentlemen. And let me explain why. The reason why they are still overprescribing the drug is because of all the perks they get from Big Pharma. Every time they write an opioid script, they get a check from Big Pharma. Some of these doctors are getting $500,000 or more per month. I'm not exaggerating. Big Pharma will do things like give them gift cards to take their whole family out for dinner. Big Pharma will pay for their vacations, these extravagant vacations for doctors. Big Pharma will give them like free memberships at top gyms in the country. That's what they get, along with a big fat check for all of the scripts they write. So you got a lot of doctors in this country that done got used to that money. See, they don't get their biggest money like you think from the patients. They get their biggest money, ladies and gentlemen, from writing scripts. Now, I know some of you are aware of this. Some of you may not be. It is not your doctor visit and whatever copay you're paying the doctor. He's not getting big money from that. In fact, I'm willing to go a step further. Many of these doctors wouldn't be in the game at all if they could not write the scripts that they write. This job, being a doctor, wouldn't even be worth it to them. Okay? So now you'll see what I mean as I get into the article. Doctors across the U.S. are overprescribing opioids, running pill mills. Lewisburg, Tennessee. This is where this article is out of. Shortly after, Dr. Mark A. Murphy, a top opioid prescriber in the U.S., yes, your ears heard it right, this doctor wrote more opioid scripts than any other doctor in the U.S. This one particular doctor that I'm talking about started practicing here 3 days a week last year. The clinic owner asked police detective to meet for dinner. Lewisburg Police Lieutenant Tom Miller thought the request seemed like a preemptive strike to keep the cops away from the specialty associates clinic. They wanted to stress with me they weren't doing anything wrong, said Miller, who served as a drug task force commander for 18 years before joining the Lewisburg force. But Miller's suspicion of the doctor were already amplified. He knew Murphy had been the number one opioid prescriber in the federal Medicare program for years. You see how they let these doctors go on for years and years and years and years overprescribing and causing all kinds of harm and death to the public. But Trump wants to go after some little street corner dealer. Those dealers on the street aren't causing a fraction of the harm that these doctors are causing. These doctors are your biggest problems in America when it comes down to the opioids, y'all. They are the biggest problem. They're way bigger than any drug dealer. Okay, let me get back. I know I'm veering off track. All right, so this police lieutenant knew that Murphy had been the number one opioid prescriber in the federal program for years, that he closed his practices in Alabama when that state's medical board accused him of writing excessive opioid prescriptions. See, this is the kind of doctor that was probably getting 500,000 a month from Big Pharma or more. You know, see, these doctors can go off and make that kind of money from writing all of these harmful prescriptions. And ladies and gentlemen, they can go on and live their lavish life untouched. He also knew that Murphy's patients, listen to this. Now, this man left Alabama and went to Tennessee because after he got accused of writing excessive scripts in Alabama, he left Alabama and went to Tennessee and opened up another practice, started practicing there. Now, listen to the distances that his patients drove just to get the drug from him. Listen to this. He also knew that many of Murphy's patients were driving far distances to see him. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi. These people were driving those distances to get to Tennessee to this doctor. That's how bad they wanted the drug. And they knew he was writing so many scripts. They knew they could get it from him. Just notice how they were told to cut back on scripts, and this doctor is completely ignoring all of that, and he's continuing to write astronomical amounts of scripts. And like I said, they let him go on for years, fully aware of what he was doing. That led Miller and Lewisburg Police Chief David L. Henley to conclude Murphy's practice had all telltale signs of a pill mill. That clinic with that many license tags from out of state is not right. So they drove into the parking lot and noticed all of these out of tag states tags on the cars going to this one particular clinic. Woo, it's like those crack houses, people driving up and getting a drug, and the activity just stays busy all day. So that's what his clinic was like. Okay. I did not want that type of thing in my town. Okay, so this is what the police chief was saying. Murphy declined repeated requests for an interview. A woman on his staff shooed a reporter out of the clinic parking lot, saying, "We don't need any TV expletive going on." The sleepy town of Lewisburg, Tennessee awoke Tuesday morning to federal agents raiding a doctor's office that officials suspected is operating an opioid pill mill. The raid comes on the heels of a Raycom Media national investigation that identified Dr. Mark A. Murphy as a top prescriber of opioids. It's going to blow you away when you hear how many opioids he was giving these patients. You'll understand why they were driving the distances that they were to get to this man. Okay. And he was doing this through the Medicare Part D program, a drug benefit for the elderly and disabled. Okay, so I want to go down a bit. All right, so the feds went in on him and everything, but I'm going to go down a bit. Now, listen to this. I want you to listen closely to this. The top 1,000 highest prescribers in the Medicare Part D program, which provides drug benefits to the elderly and disabled collectively. Listen to this. This is 1,000 doctors, y'all. 1,000 doctors wrote 14.6 million prescriptions between 2013 and 2015, public records show. 1,000 doctors. That tells you how many scripts these doctors were writing. 1,000 doctors wrote 14.6 million scripts in a 2-year period. So that's just 1,000. Can you imagine how many more there are nationwide that have not even been investigated? Because remember, they're very slow to go in on these doctors, y'all, because they're white. Let's face it. Let's call it what it is. They don't want to go in on a white doctor. That's why it's taking them forever and a day to go in and shut them down. They knew who this Dr. Murphy was, and they still let him cross state lines and set up a practice in another state and continue to overprescribe. Now, if Alabama was serious when they called him out for going overboard on writing the scripts, why didn't they put this man behind bars then? I don't need to say more. But listen to this, y'all. Listen to the kind of scripts Murphy was writing to his patients. These had to be white patients, because I can tell you, I've been on opioids before after a surgery. I have never gotten a lot of opioids from doctors, because, they're still under that old slavery belief that we don't feel pain. They feel pain, but we don't, which is a most laughable thing ever. But listen to this. Murphy gave 1,100 of his Medicare patients opioids that, if taken as prescribed, listen to this, would have lasted each of them 497 days in 2015. He gave 1,100 patients 497 days worth of opioids, y'all. Now, I know some of my subscribers are taking opioids. Let me know if you ever, as a black person, you ever got 497 days of opioids from any doctor in this country. I promise you, you won't find one black person in this land that got that amount of opioids from a doctor in 1 year. But put it in the comment section if you've been on opioids, and especially if you are a black person, and let me know whether or not you ever went to any of these physicians in America and they prescribed to you 497 opioids in 1 year. That's what this doctor did. I bet you not nary one of those patients were black. Not now one of them. Medicare covers at least 1 out of every 4 prescriptions written in the U.S., but some medical and law enforcement experts say being a top prescriber in the Medicare program should raise red flags. Murphy wrote more prescriptions between 2013 and 2015 than anyone else in the U.S. The Medicare data show he wrote more scripts than any other doctor in the whole country. And look at how slow they were moved. They moved to shut this man down. Doctors who top the list on one has to question whether they are drug dealers in white coats. They are, ladies and gentlemen. They are. Your doctor is just a drug dealer. And let me just explain why. I know many of you know already. Doctors are not in the business to cure you. Just understand that. They are not in the business to cure you, ladies and gentlemen. Those drugs only minimize your condition. Any pills that you're taking are designed to just minimize your condition. It is not to cure you. If doctors cure you, then they won't make any money. They won't make money like they are now. So the pills are really to mask whatever condition you have and just kind of alleviate and make it a little better. But the pills that they give you, ladies and gentlemen, do not cure you. This is why if you're taking blood pressure medication, you got to take that shit for the rest of your life. And guess who's going to benefit the most? The doctor that wrote the script, because every time he writes that prescription to you, he's getting his check from Big Pharma. Doctors do not make their biggest money on patient visits. They really don't make that much money on patient visits at all. Their biggest money comes from the prescriptions. This is why they will gladly have you in their office and write out sometimes multiple scripts for one patient. More scripts they write, the more money they get. They're not going to cure you. This is why so many people out here are on drugs for life. They got to take drugs for the rest of their life. They're not going to cure you. This is why it's really important that you learn what herbs actually cure you. Okay? I have several books at my house, and maybe I'll cover some of this in a live stream soon that goes over what herbs do. And the Most High tells us everything on this earth is already here that can cure us. He gave us the herbs of the earth. It's already in the book. He gave us the herbs of the earth so that we could cure ourselves. And just like he tells us the fruit. The fruit is for nourishment, for food. But the seeds inside of the fruit is for medicine. Everything is here to cure ourselves. Our ancestors knew what all this stuff was, but being in oppression and captivity, these evil people have wiped all that knowledge away from us, but they really didn't do a good enough job in wiping it away, because the books on herbs and what they can do is still out here. I'm going back to my key word, research. Research. It's still there. And, maybe we'll start covering that kind of stuff more. The doctors who top the list are nothing more than just drug dealers in white coats. And that is the truth, y'all. It's the truth. These doctors do more harm to the public than any drug dealer. And I'm going to go right back to saying that because it's the truth. If they want to make any headway, you'd go after the doctors. See, Trump, because Trump is really not that bright, he's going to go after the low-level drug dealer that really, he might poison a person or two. But trust me, these doctors have killed way more people in the public than any drug dealer. And they don't get any prosecution either for killing a lot of people with drugs. These doctors go untouched. There have been doctors, and let me tell you about an incident that I had. I was hospitalized when I was pregnant with my son. My son actually tried to come out when I was 8 months pregnant. I went into labor. I went into an early labor. Well, they had to stop the labor because my son's heart rate and his, they had checked his heart rate and everything, and it was too low. And they said if he came at that moment, he may not have survived. So I was hospitalized, and they were able to stop my labor and everything. And they gave me a number of scripts when I left. They actually gave me, I didn't look because I was so out of it, and I know many of the women know what I'm talking about. When you feel in labor pain, your mind is just not all there sometimes. When I got home, my husband was going to fill the scripts. We looked down at the scripts, y'all. They gave me the wrong scripts. They gave me the wrong scripts. The name on the script was Carmen Vasquez. And my name ain't damn no Carmen Vasquez, okay? My name ain't Carmen Vasquez. So it was a different patient that was in the hospital at the same time. They gave me all of her scripts. So we had contacted the hospital. Do you know they were so desperate to get those scripts from me? They sent the security guard driving all the way over to my house to get the scripts. And I wasn't close by. They had to, I went to my local hospital, and they had to send me to a hospital further away that had more specialty than the one that I was in. So this security guard drove quite a distance to get to my house. And when they got to my house, they were like, "Oh, we'll get the scripts. Oh my God, we're so sorry." And she had my scripts. So we gave them the scripts, and I got mine. And then I was talking to my father, who was living at the time. He said, "You shouldn't have gave them shit back. You should have went straight to a lawyer with those scripts and sued the hell out of them." I said, "You're right. I should have done that." But, they knew they screwed up. But, and doctors, I'm just letting you know this just to say doctors have screwed up and given people prescriptions that they never should have had, and they actually died on those scripts. I remember another case with a black woman that was diagnosed. Oh, Loretta, you come at the wrong time. It was a black woman, and she was diagnosed with cancer. And they had her doing all this chemo and radiation and everything. And come to find out, she never had cancer at all. And after, I guess, going through all of the chemo and radiation, months later, she ended up dying. And she never should have been on that mess in the first place. See, that's what I'm talking about. But see, these doctors that do that kind of stuff, ladies and gentlemen, they don't go to jail. They don't go to jail. Although she died, they don't go to jail. But look at what they're doing to drug dealers. If the person dies, then the drug dealer goes to jail. But these doctors don't go to jail for their errors that kill people. I'm just saying. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell twice. I will leave the link to this article in the in the subscription. Oh my God, I can't even talk. Description box. And you can come out at your own leisure and read it. It is quite lengthy, but it's a good article though. So if you want to come out here, because it talks about how many of these doctors are still overprescribing, and they are killing a lot of people out here. a lot. But please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell twice and join me on Black Junction TV and blackspot.com. And, just look for those videos that I do to direct you over there. It's because, there are so many restrictions on YouTube. It's not even worth posting certain things on here anymore. You know, at least out there on Black Junction and Black Spot, you don't have to worry about being flagged, or somebody complaining because they don't like what you said and all that stuff. You don't have the ultra sensitive people over there either. Peace, family.